All right, here we go. We are live on air. This is Mac Bolan and Talking Banged podcast number 3. And tonight we're going to talk some economics. I speak on economics tonight because it's tied to so many of the hot button topics lately. Thank you, Andy, for the free Newman sign. I mean, there's so many things tied to economics when we talk about everything that's been in the news lately, which includes taxes, unions, businesses, and trade, and, of course, even healthcare. I have here with me Tom, I have Natasha, I have Andy, who's on kid control right now, Lou, who's here but not really here. And if anybody else manages to jump in that I invited later, then we'll host them as well. So just to start off, when we talk about, let's say, just taxes, you know, Natasha and Tom, what do taxes mean to you? When I talk about taxes, is in property, sales, etc. Tom, you first.
Taxation.
What, me? I'm up first. What do taxes mean to me?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's money that I pay to the government.
Okay, but what state do you live in?
Arizona.
Okay. And just what kind of taxes do you pay? You know, obviously you pay a state income tax, property taxes, etc.
Yeah. What are you asking, the percentages?
Well, just, you know, what it takes out of your earnings.
It takes a lot out of my earnings.
Hold up the sign.
Okay, Natasha.
Natasha, you're up.
I'm gonna start with we always call in our household taxation. Taxation is the government.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, I don't necessarily mind paying my taxes. I live in Texas. You don't have state income tax.
Yeah, right. In Texas, you don't pay a state income tax.
No, we have sales tax, and that's it.
Yep.
And, but I grew up in a state that had but no sales tax, so it's thing and different. So, most part, I don't necessarily mind too much paying my tax. I don't mind paying my property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I like roads. I like the school that my kids go to.
Right.
It's a really nice school. It's a good school. So I don't have a problem with that necessarily.
It looks like she's lying down.
I tend to get a little more.
Yeah.
She's lying down.
It's okay. All right, but now when we talk about taxes, and Andy, you live in Illinois like I do, the kind of taxes we pay are insane.
Yeah.
Well, you got it worse than I do because you're in Cook.
Crook, not Cook. I mean, it is Cook, but it's literally Crook County.
I'm always buying stuff out there.
Oh, absolutely, as you should. And I mean, obviously, federal taxes are one thing. When we talk about state taxes here in Illinois, literally, we do have a state income tax. Our property taxes are the worst in the country, and they're going to go up. They've gone up like 3 times in the last 2 years. They're going to continue to go up. And in order to finance a broken, literally, budget in the state that's billions of dollars in debt, they decided to raise property taxes. On top of that, they raised sales taxes. Then they decided to come up with a bag tax. Now, the plastic bag tax didn't work, so they extended it to paper bags to all bags in the city of Chicago. Then they decided to expand it to an entertainment tax. They increased the business licensing fees. They increased corporate taxes, alcohol, tobacco taxes, and then come July, they're going to actually institute a sugar tax.
Yeah, this was great having Andy come on.
Yeah, he's really contributing there.
Hey, I got these two old guys.
Yeah. So,
what is a sugar tax? What is
okay,
that?
well, here's the thing. The thing that's
that's
funny about it is they tried to say, well, it's about health, and just like the bag tax, they decided to say, well, no, it's about the environment. Well, no, actually, it's not about the environment. It's about them trying to fix literally their debt.
Well, it's that, and it's a nanny state tax.
Exactly.
Too,
Well, that's it. Well, that's what socialism is. And they said, okay, well, they first it was just plastic bags, and so what did the businesses do? They made thicker, reinforced plastic bags, which were reusable. So they said, oh, well, crap, that didn't work. So no, they just said, no, we're going to make it on all bags, 7 cents per bag. And it's everywhere, not just department stores, grocery stores, etc. I mean, it's a ripoff. And they're trying to cover their asses for all the years of where they've mismanaged their budget, and they're using this to make it up. Now, the sugar tax, this is the funny one, because it literally, they said, okay, well, soda tax at first, but it actually covers beverages in Cook County that has any sugar in it. And that means Gatorade, fruit juices, vitamin water, anything that has sugar in it, a 1 cent per ounce tax. And this is to cover their mismanagement of the budget.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
No, they did the bag thing here in, I know that they've done it in Austin, but they tried to do it here in Dallas. That lasted about 3 months before everybody lost their shit. Mm-hmm. And then it went away because, most people, when you're not in liberal, and most people in Texas don't brook that kind of garbage. We don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be told what to eat, I would go to stores and buy like a pack of cigarettes, and I would pay for the bag just on principle. And then as soon as I got out of the store, because it pissed me off so much.
Well, part of that bothers me, and I want to go back all the way to when we talk about capitalism, we talk about socialism, the free market enterprise. When we talk about socialism, where it's high taxes and supposedly the government provides everything, which you hear people argue and they say, oh, well, look at Scandinavia or look at this place. Well, you know what? That's BS. If you look at those Scandinavian countries, they're small, they're homogeneous. They basically have anywhere from 40 to 50% or higher tax rates. Yet these same countries, which they say everybody is happy, have some of the highest suicide rates and drug abuse rates in the world per capita. Now, you try and compare a dinky, homogenous country like Denmark to a country in the U.S. that's over 300 million people, you can't compare the two healthcare systems. It's incompatible. And the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, and the disaster that has become has already demonstrated that. And I don't know, like we're talking about healthcare and economics right now. I don't know where you two stand. I'm under the VA system.
Wait. Back it up. What are you blaming? What are you blaming on high suicide rates in Scandinavian countries on here?
I'm not. I'm just saying that's a fact. I'm not blaming it on anything. I'm just saying it's a fact because they always say, well, they're happy. Well, if they're so happy, why are they killing themselves? And why are they abusing drugs?
Well, I don't know, Emerson. That could have a lot of causes. Those prolonged winters where you don't see the sun for fucking half the year might have something to do with it.
Maybe which fair to say, Seattle has a high suicide rate, but again, they don't make the claim that they're happy.
I'm just saying, if you're trying to make a link between a high suicide rate and their socialist type government.
No, not at all. No, what I'm saying is their claim that they're such happy people. That's my point.
I think he's just
I would say that's one indicator of overall happiness, but just one.
Yeah. But when you live, and here's the other thing. Actually, I didn't even bring this up. Okay, when you talk about Denmark and Sweden and countries like that, which have the high tax rates, and I mean really high tax rates. I mean, if you can imagine paying 50 to 60% of an income tax, a lot of these people don't own homes. And in a lot of these places, they don't even own cars. Now, granted, you know, when you can walk anywhere, you have a better public transportation system, that's fine. But I'm just saying, you know, home ownership over there and in Europe in general is nothing like it is here in the United States. Not even close.
Listen, buddy, just don't pick on Norway, all right?
Yeah. Well, Norway benefited from pretty good offshore oil drillings.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did. And you know,
they're also really good people over there.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying, yeah, if you want to pay $90 for a bottle of vodka, yeah, they're great.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm into beer. And their state-run liquor system. It's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah, and I've been to Norway, so.
Jealous.
The only Norwegians I know anything
But that's
about
it.
are dudes on Deadliest Catch.
Yeah. But I'm just saying.
Probably it's a good thing.
You know, the cost of living differential, the income taxes, and here in the U.S., when we talk again about economics, the cost of living in states, and particularly, and I'm going to say it right out, the Democrat-run states and run cities that have the highest cost of livings, the highest taxes, like New York City, like Chicago, like Los Angeles, are not just Democrat-controlled, but have been Democrat-controlled for decades, 50 years in some cases.
Andy, decades.
Well. Okay.
And he knows. No, he knows here in Illinois. He knows the deal.
It's not okay. It's not really fair for me to be the only liberal on here because I'm not well versed in economics. We need somebody like and political policy and all this. We need somebody like Josh on here. Unblock Josh. Give him a voice.
No. Josh is a turd. Sorry, Josh is a turd. Get his chance.
I'm not well versed enough in this topic to challenge a lot. Plus, I don't know how far apart we are really, especially since we live in the same area. And
sounds like
you're in. Well, no. To be fair, okay. Andy, you're in Joliet. I'm here
not far, but
yeah, you're right. Well, in the Joliet area, okay. But still, as a whole, the state of Illinois, given just speaking strictly about Illinois now, given the fact that
I voted for Ronner. I hope you know that. I voted.
No, I know you did. I know. And the thing is, people are complaining about Rauner, who's the governor of Illinois, who's a Republican, but the Democrats in Springfield literally control a veto-proof majority in the Illinois House and the Illinois Senate and have a fully stocked liberal Illinois Supreme Court.
Yeah. Can I just interject real quick before people think like I'm some kind of Republican? No,
you're not. We know.
All that. My vote for Ronner was that, you know, our state is called Madaganistan because
it is.
Speaker of the House, Mike Madigan, runs this entire state like his personal fiefdom. That vote for me was a vote against him.
Exactly. I agree. And even though I'm not a Republican, I voted for Tony Preckwinkle.
Wow.
Back in the midterms, who's a Democrat, who's the Cook County treasurer, because at the time when she was running, she stated there was no plan to increase or expand taxes. And within 6 months, that was all a lie.
You believe
because
that?
It went out of, well, you know, like I said, to a point, you know, you give them a chance. And she said, yep, we're not. And then boom, of course, within 6 months, all of that went out the window and they went insane because they're broke.
It's bad here. But, you know, I don't know how much people are going to get from us talking Illinois politics. So maybe we should.
Well, no, but I'm just saying within this state, it's kind of a microcosm of how the high taxes, the high regulations in the end fail because they drive people away. And with 3 states in the area, Michigan, the most recent, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, that passed right to work laws, Illinois is losing people hand over fist. You know, we lead the nation in people leaving. Now, speaking historically, I want to talk real quick about unions.
Hold on,
And-
Emerson. Can I just interject?
Yeah, shoot,
Andy,
shoot.
you have really female hands. You know that?
Oh, you did no, don't go.
Female hands. Andy, look at your hands. They're like, I want to touch them. They're so smooth looking. Your hands.
No, I got calluses here.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
from
Okay.
that's from the Kendo. Yep.
Yeah.
From the Kendo. Yep.
That's the Kendo. That's right. The Kendo.
Oh,
Yeah. No, that's
boy.
actually this hand, but
Yeah.
that's
The right hand.
Guys, unions. Okay.
Okay. Now go back in time in the beginning. Unions were a good thing.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, when they promoted 40-hour work weeks,
Where's Odin?
when they got rid of child labor, when they instituted fair labor
Okay.
practice laws, and, you know, again, we're going all the way back to the 1800s, they were a good thing. Up into the 1900s, when you had a problem with corporations that were basically violating antitrust laws, when you had monopolies, oligopolies, things that went against fair labor and fair competition practices, unions were a good thing. Up to the point when, go ahead, Natasha.
Up to the point when they stopped, when it started being more about, you know, a gang of people saying $30 an hour to turn a freaking screw. And it was, you know, it was more about these guys being in control and holding people hostage than it was about fair work practices.
Yeah, exactly. And you went through the 1900s where back then, you know, strikes were violent. And then labor unions got into bed with organized crime. You went through that period. And then when I grew up, and I want to point out a couple of facts. It's too bad Lou being, you know, technologically retarded.
No, he's
But-
being
Retarded.
He's being a pussy. He
Okay.
will come up with any excuse to not go live. It's all that. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't buy his BS.
But I really wanted him on here because he could speak about Detroit. Obviously, I grew up in the Chicago area for years and years. And
Well,
the
hey, let
thing
me
is-
say something here. I am
Yep.
a public sector union employee, and
Okay.
we don't
Shocker.
make shit. We don't make shit. We get screwed. So I mean, it's
Well,
there's two sides, you know?
which union are you part of? Asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not
Not an easy
entirely
one to say. I
true
don't know.
because there are some that make out quite well that are public sector employees.
Yeah, not us. Yeah, we get it hard in the ass. pretty
Well,
bad.
what job
I mean,
you do?
No lube, no reach around.
Yeah.
Hey, Natasha.
What?
Natasha, this is my door frame.
Are
See
you?
it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you like?
I
Harry?
might have to cut out soon, but as the only
Okay.
liberal voice here, I want to
Yep.
say there's, you know, yeah, things have jumped the shark maybe one way, but I think we need both sides. We need the labor side and we need the capital side.
Oh, I'm not arguing that, but here's the problem with public sector unions. They're paid by the taxpayers, yet the taxpayers have no say in the wages. And AFSCME, for the most part, has been a bad deal. And the CTU has been even worse. The Chicago Teachers Union has been probably one of the most greedy, money-sucking organization to be the biggest part of the problem with the Chicago public school system and not the solution. Because when the CPS was in debt over $300 million, they went on strike because they wanted a 16% pay raise, and they got it. And they said, no, it's about the kids, yet
Yeah,
no, it's not. It's about them, and it's about them protecting their pensions and their pay scale.
Well, then I think what comes into play is, okay, so in Cook you have Democrats repeatedly getting elected, and maybe the people they appoint to approve those contracts is the problem. And if you could ever get the other side voted in, you know, like I'm in DuPage County.
It's
Republican. It's
yeah,
Republican.
DuPage is more Republican.
It's heavily Republican, so
yes.
they don't give a shit. So what I'm saying is,
Mhm.
you know, maybe if there was a balance of power in Cook, maybe it wouldn't be so bad there with their public sector and union employees making so much more than we do. Because I know
it's insane. Yeah, no, I understand. What I'm saying is, though,
so what I'm saying is the voters do have a say by the people they elect that negotiate with the unions.
Not actually, and I'll explain why. Okay, when in a private sector union, labor negotiates directly with management. In a public sector union, after the election, labor negotiates with the ruling party, so to speak. And in a case where you have unions that are totally in bed with the Democratic Party, which is a single party rule in Cook County, there's no say for the taxpayers.
It's the single party rule that's the issue because
absolutely. But it's a symbiotic relationship between the unions and the Democratic Party. That's the problem.
The problem is with the fucking voters. Then they need to vote them out.
The voters
problems in DuPage County because it's Republican dominated.
Right, but the voters overall in the state of Illinois, and come on, let's face it, look at the elections over the last how many years, are overwhelmingly Democrat, and the unions are clearly in bed with the Democratic Party.
I'm not denying that, but I mean,
and that's a problem. Back in the day, let me just make this point. Back in the day, in the 60s and early 70s, when there was no Chicago teacher union,
like Bill O'Reilly.
Well, just hang on. Let me say, okay, back in the day,
Captain interrupts a lot.
He's got a better voice though.
Before you had a Chicago or you had any teachers unions, and you just had teachers, PTO, teachers organizations, all pay raises went to a referendum, and the voters decided directly yes or no on pay raises, on increases. But then as soon as they became public sector unions, that removed all the the honest voter interaction, because basically once the vote was done, then whoever got elected mayor, etc., they had the power to deal with the unions. Voters didn't at that point.
Here's my Dude, I totally get that, but what I'm saying is public sector unions are not a problem when you elect fiscally.
Fiscal, agreed, but that's never going to happen in a state that's
not in Cook County
by one county.
Cook County, then, man.
Well, but even the state.
I told you that already.
And you already mentioned it about Madigan, and actually you didn't mention Cullerton, the fact that the Democrats control Springfield too.
Oh yeah.
And that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you're never going to get it as long as you have that relationship between public sector unions and the Democratic Party. I mean, you're talking about literally people who were Democrats, who live on the south side of Chicago, who wanted a freaking Walmart in their basically desert, their food desert, but not a single alderman would support it, because they don't hire union employees.
Yeah.
And it literally took years of arguing. I mean, they finally got it, but I mean, what it took for them to get a Walmart that they wanted, and these are literally South Side Chicago people who support the Democrats, and the aldermen didn't support them, just to get a freaking Walmart because of union issues into an area where they actually wanted one, because Walmart employs locals, provide cheap goods and services to the neighborhood, and the aldermen were all against it because why? They don't hire union employees because it's Walmart.
Again, that's Cook County, man.
Yeah, well, but what is Illinois? What elected Clinton? Or I shouldn't say elected. Well, why did Clinton win Illinois? Cook County.
We're a fiefdom of Mike Madigan.
Yeah, exactly. And it's single party rule.
But what I'm saying is it's what your point of the voters not having a say doesn't apply in my county because we don't elect those people in my county. Like I said, they give it to us dry, man. We don't get shit.
But overall, still, who controls the state?
But we're fiscally solvent, so.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, you are, which is one of the few counties. Which is the ironic thing is, though, and I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Andy. Andy, actually, what I laugh about is DuPage County is one of the few fiscally solvent counties in the state.
Enough money to build statues of judges and shit all the time. You should see our courthouse. It's a thing.
Yeah, but then you should be in Cook County and see what it costs to.
Oh, it's bad. Hey, I can't argue.
Oh, the proper.
That.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal.
But it all
it's brutal. Yeah, go ahead.
It all links back to the same thing. Okay, you can either have $1,000 for jobs that don't deserve, I'm sorry, $100,000. Money that's completely, tits up as far as its finances, or you can have people making enough money, depending on who you talk to, and then a county that is, what they consider fiscally responsible and meeting its budget. So you have to find the place in the middle. You have to decide, number one,
absolutely,
is truly worth, as far as, we have to pay people enough to live on. Okay, let's not be stupid about this. But it doesn't have to be $15 an hour.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
McDonald's doesn't, I'm sorry, being at a register and pushing a button and saying, yes, okay, freaking burger. It doesn't connect $15 an hour. It doesn't.
Right.
That, look at what happened up in where they wanted to raise the minimum wage, and then they had businesses that couldn't pay people minimum wage anymore. They had to cut
right.
That. Because nobody understands that it all somewhere. If you want to take the teachers union and pay all the teachers $100,000 a year, then you're going to have to tax people to drink fucking Gatorade. You're assholes.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And in the CTU, Chicago Teachers Union, the average salary of a Chicago teacher is over $75,000.
Damn.
And they don't pay anything, into their pension.
There are teachers here in Texas.
It's not even like a 401k. I mean, it is the most greedy, most corrupt organization, and they are the number one largest expense for the Chicago public school system. Yet again, they threatened to strike if they didn't get another pay raise after the last pay raise and another pension bump. And the system has allowed them to even get pay bumps over their last 3 or 4 years so they can retire at a higher pension rate. Over six figures in many cases. And then some of them that are young enough actually leave the state, go to another state, get another job, and still collect an Illinois pension. And it's not. Go ahead.
And they know that they can take that city by the balls by striking and not showing up for work, because then you have all kids who don't have anywhere to go, which means they're can't go to work. Because they can't send their kids to school. I mean, it's a whole disgusting cycle. And they can just hold the city by the ball sack and do whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and you see it happen. And here's the thing: the more people that continue to leave this state, and like I mentioned before, they have right to work laws in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Indiana, and they talk about taxing. Oh, well, we need to raise taxes on the wealthy. Well, they're talking about people who earn $100,000 or more. Well, some of the small business people who own businesses who earn $100,000, they have operating costs. They already pay high licensing fees. They pay a lot in property taxes and personal income taxes, and it's insane. And what eventually is going to happen, and I'm telling you right now, because we're going to end up like with Detroit. It's coming. We're going to end up just like Detroit. Enough people are going to leave to where the tax base is too small to support the pensions and the payrolls.
Oh, that's already
And at
happening.
that point, well, no, it's going to get worse, though.
Well, it's
You mean
going
it's
to
gonna get worse?
It's already happening, man. People are fleeing.
Oh, it already is happening. Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm saying. But it's going to come to a point to where they're going to either have to declare bankruptcy and default on these pensions and all the stuff that built up over the years. And at that point, they're going to hit rock bottom. They haven't yet, but it's coming. I mean, now, as far as the crime and everything else, that's a whole separate issue. But just purely on an economic standpoint, this state, which back in the 50s and 60s was affluent, was profitable. We had manufacturing, we had industry, we were the number 2 largest city in the country before we got passed by LA. And you just watched over the years of Democratic Party control running into the ground. Now
it's a dumpster fire. I can't argue.
Yep. Now
you need a liberal that knows economic policy better than I do on here, though. To be fair.
Well, I mean, I'm not a liberal, obviously, but I'm not speaking anything that's, counter. I mean, everything I've said is straight. And one of the reasons some of the better manufacturing firms in this country went down hard, like Caterpillar, which at one time was doing really well, the farm equipment company, was because of union problems. Now, again,
they moved to Arizona now, Caterpillar.
Yeah. Now, to go back to, through history, we talk about, unions. And I'm going to go to a particular point in time back in the late 60s, early 70s, when basically the U.S. auto industry, steel industry, coal industry, and rail industry all took what I call the hit because of unions and the problem associated with operating costs. Now, to be fair, in some cases, management was a problem with this too. But when you look at history, you look at that point in time, this is when Japan was up and coming. They converted a lot of their plants, et cetera, to electric. U.S. Steel at the time was still operating under, old technology. And if they go on strike and put down, it would take a steel manufacturing plant days to come back online. Modernized steel and aluminum production plants that were more electrical within a day or two could boom, bam, right back up again. Now, the problem was at the time, because of the cheap labor in Japan and I would say corners that were cut by the American auto industry, again, partially because of union problems, because of operating costs, decided not to invest as much money. And keep again in mind, we're talking about this is part of the system. Investments, capital, provide research, engineering, provide technology. Back then, because companies had to deal with operating costs, they got conservative in their spending. And they were afraid to, basically spend the money to improve products. And that's why you ended up with piles of garbage like the Ford Maverick, the Mustang, the Chevy Vega. I mean, I can go on and on about the garbage the U.S. was producing back then. And a lot of that was due to, okay, we need to retrench. We're going to have to deal with union issues. Now, the auto industry partially affected the steel industry.
Emerson.
Yeah.
Emerson, couldn't it just be that Japanese make better cars, buddy?
Yeah.
No.
Huh?
Where are they at right now?
Better workers.
No.
Harder workers.
But that's part of what I'm saying. That was part of the
We're not
problem
lazy
back
like
then.
the Americans.
It's not that way now, though. If you notice, the price of Japanese cars now have jumped way up, and they've had the same quality issues that American car makers have had. But I'm talking back in the 60s and 70s when the U.S., at one time, let's face it, 50s, 60s, who was the largest automaker in the world? It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. Detroit was one of the most affluent cities in the world, not the country, in the world. because at that time they were unchallenged. They weren't dealing with the kind of problems. Eventually, they had to deal with the issues.
Oh, come on, Emerson. We were the only unharmed, untouched industrial power left after World War II.
Absolutely. Oh, no, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying what happened through basic economics between operating costs and the amount of money that you have to pay to improve, to pay your workers, and still make a profit. And the 60s and 70s kicked the U.S. automakers and auto industry in the ass. And at the same time, that affected the steel industry, it affected the coal industry, and it affected the rail industry. Now, we went through that period, and again, I say, because, people love to say, oh, corporate greed, or corporate this. People who have no understanding of basic economics and what it takes to pay workers, not just the salaries, the health care benefits, and then how all the industries are linked together and how it also affects trade. Because during that time frame also, the U.S. made some very bad trade deals. We were taking tariffs on imports to Germany, to Japan, particularly in the auto industry, that affected our product but didn't affect theirs. And, to be fair, World War II reconstruction of Germany and Japan, and I have no problem with that. We helped out and we boosted them, and they're strong allies. And eventually, the playing field leveled out over the years. I mean, right now, American automobiles are on a level playing field with Germany and Japan right now. But that didn't exist back during that time frame, because basically the whole
Whoa.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Are you saying that you think that now, like 2017, that American cars are as good as Japanese cars?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, no, I can't get with you on that. No way. Japanese cars, number one, will last forever.
Thank you.
I drove. Let me tell you something, Natasha. I had a Jeep that went well over 100,000 miles with no problems. Back in the day, that would have never happened. And I'll tell you why. Because Japan and Germany eventually started to have the same problems that we had. Now, look at just over the past few years, what's happened with Honda and Toyota with quality recalls. That never happened with them back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, Emerson, is only very, very recently.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's recently.
Very recently.
But what I'm saying is, because of eventually the fact that, the auto industry finally got their heads out of their rear ends, they finally got to a point to where we leveled the playing field, and Germany and Japan started suffering the same problems that we had.
The American auto industry, they've lost all their credibility. Like, I'm sorry, personally, I'm not going to buy an American car. I'm not going to.
I've owned Chrysler products for years, and you know what? They've been great. And I thought Lee Iacocca and one of the greatest turnarounds of an American company in history.
Well, hey, how about
Who
this?
pioneered the minivan?
Emerson.
Who pioneered the minivan? Not the
Emerson.
Japanese. Not the Japanese.
Hey, Emerson.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe the quality of Japanese cars has gone down since they started building their shit here with American workers? Huh?
Dude.
Huh?
No.
No, he's very right.
How are you going to deny that?
Well,
Overregulation.
Thank you. Actually, he's actually, Thomas is more closer to the truth. Overregulation.
In your faces. Because only beta males do dishes.
No, stop. No. No. The thing is, Andy, most of these cars aren't built here. Parts may be assembled here, but still,
they're all global, Emerson.
Of course, they're all global, and that's why I'm saying globalization brought Japan and Germany down.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, because they're not using their workers to build all the shit.
Yeah, we'll put it together. Yeah, we are. Yeah, but that is a point that I've been stressing. But the thing is, the playing field now is level. I mean, you have American cars right now that are easily as good as any of their Japanese or German or Italian or European counterparts.
Yeah, because they're all buying fucking
I can't
parts from. They're all using the same fucking shit, man.
No,
Nowadays.
Andy, language.
Yeah, Andy.
Language, Andy. I'm on
I'm not
YouTube.
Christian.
Thank you.
What?
I'm not a Christian.
Go.
Language. No, I'm with you on a ton of stuff. I'm with you on a ton of stuff. I'm sorry, but Japanese cars are better than American cars, even
Well,
today.
and that's an opinion, but I'm going to tell you,
Right, Natasha.
I have owned a Japanese car. I actually had a Toyota Celica at one time, and I had nothing but trouble with it.
Well,
I had the opposite experience. Opposite.
I just put my Toyota out to pasture.
Yeah.
For it daily. I put 150,000 miles on that car, and it gave me hardly any issues.
Okay, I put 120,000 miles on a Jeep, and I even put over 80,000 miles on a, get ready for this one, Eagle Premier.
Oh my God, man.
Yes. And same thing. It was great. It was an awesome automobile. It was great. It was a sedan. It was the first sedan I ever owned. But that's a personal experience. Now, on the other hand, to be fair, I owned a Chevy. I owned a Chevy Monza, which was just the reinvented Vega, which was a total piece of garbage. One of the worst cars I ever owned, because it was still, that was part of the fallout from the old GM garbage, like the Ford garbage, like the GM garbage. And if you even are old enough to remember the piece of garbage Ford Mustang 2 they put out that was a embarrassment.
Most Ford Mustangs are.
Well, no, but the newer ones are. The retro Mustangs are awesome. And I'm not even a Ford guy, but they are.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. So I didn't retire my 1980 Chevy till it had 400,000 miles. And my Pontiac Grand Am that I used to deliver pizza when I was in my early 20s had 195,000 miles. And the only thing that ever went wrong with it was it had a bad water pump once.
Hey.
So
Emerson, my husband just did on that Eagle car, and they made that in Canada.
Oh.
Well, it may have been made in Canada, but it's still an American car.
In your face, Emerson.
Not at all. I mean, I'm just saying it was still a great automobile. I don't care where they made it; it was still an American product. And the Eagle Premier for me was a great vehicle.
Now I have a Jeep. I'm driving right now that we've had for years, and we put 150,000 miles on it, still going strong, God willing. So, but you know, when we just had to buy a new car, what did we turn around and buy? We bought a Subaru.
Sure. Yeah. I would never, I mean, a Subaru is actually a very good car. I probably would never own one, but so anyway, but
hey,
we went off on the tangent on the personally owned vehicles here.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah.
I love you to death, but I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning, so I've got to go to bed.
Oh, okay. Well, hang on, just before you go, give me 1 second here. Okay.
I got to cut out too.
Okay, but the point I want to make here, and I want to talk about an economic point that a lot of people don't understand. Like with healthcare, there's no such thing as free healthcare. Doesn't exist. It's not free.
No.
It's single payer healthcare, which means somebody's got to pay for it, which means taxpayers are going to basically shoulder the burden. When you talk about businesses, corporate taxes.
This is a whole huge other issue. Don't you think that should wait till next week's episode?
Well, no, I'm just talking economics right now. We can do a part 2 on economics, but I'm just saying this is a point. We talk about economics.
Healthcare is a behemoth issue, dude. I think
it is, but it's still part of economics. It's part of taxation. And when you talk about healthcare, it's not free. People say, oh, well, everybody should have free healthcare. It's not free. It's paid for by taxes. And again, part of the economic point I'm making here, when you talk about corporate taxes, and I bring up Illinois, because corporations exist to make a profit. They deliver a good or a service at a price to make a profit. When, I don't care if it's city, state, county, federal government, when you add to the operating costs of a business, then you're going to cut down on their profits. When you talk about, let's say, political entity, governments, etc., that exist to basically serve the people, but at the same time, they exist on taxpayer money, where you're taking money out of the pockets of consumers and businesses to fund a government entity. That's a completely different story. And it's not the same as a private business, as a corporation. And that doesn't help the economy. Taxpayer money that comes out of people's pockets. That
boy, you're a talker, okay? Let me say something. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say something, Sean Hannity.
Healthcare, and I wish you didn't open this can of worms. But when they're before this whatever ACA, there's a ton of uninsured people. What do you think happens when a fucking bum or somebody uninsured walks into the emergency room? They're going to treat them, and we're going to pay for that shit.
Absolutely.
We're paying either fucking way. So, I mean, we all need to figure out
the language, dude. Golly, please.
Dude,
that's language.
I can't help swearing, man.
No, well, you shouldn't, though. I mean, you know, what do you feel if I did this on the damn site? Stop.
I'm a fucking non-trad,
Stop.
What?
Okay. Now, I know what you're saying.
It's still YouTube, Andy.
There's better options than the ACA. There's better options than some bum walking off the street. Yeah.
I'm from the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah. Now you're going to bust on Lou.
You can find me at Lou Giannuzzi, Giannuzzi.
Hey, what does he sound like, Andy?
His voice, you wouldn't put it together with what he looks like.
Okay.
He's really distinctive, I'll say that.
To get back on track, and we can tackle the healthcare issue. We'll do an economics too next week.
That needs to be a separate episode, dude.
Yeah, but again, speaking economically, who shoulders the cost? Who shoulders the burden? And I think
the taxpayer.
We all do, no matter what. That's my fucking.
I don't want to feed
that's
your kids,
your
Andy.
point. I understand, and I have no problem with somebody uninsured or on Medicaid walking into an emergency room. What I have a problem with is somebody who is under or part-time employed, who can't afford the ACA, but at the same time gets burned by a double or quadruple tax penalty because they're not signed up for some health care plan because they can't afford $300 to $400 a month.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that. I know my.
Oh, I do know. I know two of my sons who got burned by that.
Go fight now.
No, it's no fight. I'm just saying reality. You know, the thing is, when the ACA was rolled out, it was poorly planned. It was something that was shoved in because somebody, president maybe, wanted to make his mark, his legacy, blah, blah, blah. So, hey, suck this. And that's part of the reason, too, why Clinton lost, because people got ticked off over that legislature. But that, again, speaking economics,
I'm not very well versed in this issue.
Oh, well, I am. And the thing is, I've had experience with, now, granted, me personally,
to argue against you, Emerson.
Yeah. I know doctors too. Granted, I'm under the VA. I'm under the VA. I don't.
Or Tammy.
Oh, that's not a doctor.
Liberals.
I
don't follow this shit.
I offered all of them.
I don't follow this
I offered
shit.
everybody a chance to join into this broadcast. They didn't. Not my fault. What I'm saying is, though, when you talk about healthcare, and again, you know, even though it's an economic discussion, when you're talking about healthcare, even in Canada, and I've watched several, I've went to many sites, even people in Canada who have the so-called socialized medicine still pay for private health insurance to augment it because the so-called free healthcare does not meet their needs.
Are we getting paid for this?
No.
No.
You're just calling out random things now. Yeah.
Again, healthcare needs to be a separate episode, and I'm not somebody to have on. You know what? I wasn't somebody to have on for this topic. I don't know.
let's do that.
Hey, why don't we talk like,
Let's do that
let's have a
next.
history episode, then I can contribute.
Yeah.
I don't know shit about any of this stuff, man.
Okay.
I just slog through my
Well,
day.
I may do, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, you'll really hate my Israel-Palestine one coming up.
All right, I'm into the Civil War episode. How about
All
that?
right.
Okay, there you go.
Next episode.
Okay,
But I-
Early
and
agrarian societies, something like that. But I gotta
and
go.
the thing is, and I just want to make a real quick, okay, before I shut this down, and I think we're definitely going to have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
But when we talk about a comparison between capitalism and socialism, and people, every time they love to throw up the socialist countries, the first thing I want to say is, okay, what are you producing? What are you basically contributing to the rest of the world? And then secondly, what do you own? What do your people own as individuals? Because I guarantee you, you cannot compare the livelihood of people in this country of over 300 million to people, and I've been all over Europe, so I've already been there, seen there, and how few people own homes, how a lot of people don't even own automobiles. Now, granted, they have a better public transportation in a lot of those countries, but they're smaller countries. I mean, you could fit Europe into Texas. And Western Europe, that is. You could fit Western Europe, almost all of those countries, into Texas. You could fit most of Europe into Alaska. I mean, it's small. And they're smaller countries. They're just, it's not the same. The United States grew up under a different system. And that's a fact. It's not the same comparison. It's not a fair comparison.
I'll agree with you.
And how many people, seriously, considering, and I don't know how many of you that I'm talking to right now have been to Europe. I mean, Andy, obviously, you have. You grew up in Norway. But
no, I grew up, I lived in Germany.
Okay, you lived in Germany.
Military brat.
Okay, so how many people in Germany actually own their own homes?
Dude, I was a kid. The fuck if I know.
Oh, yeah, that's why. That's what I'm saying. Not very many. A lot of people rent because they can't afford a house, because there isn't a lot of individual homes, particularly in the north, like northern Germany and southern Germany, two different worlds almost. I mean, it's a tough comparison, and that's why I hate the comparison. Every time I hear people compare European countries to the U.S., it's not the same. It's simply not the same.
No. And on that note, I seriously have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I love you guys.
Okay, I love you too, Natasha. And thank you so much for having the guts to come on, unlike
Lou.
Guys.
P-U-S-S-Y, Lou.
Okay. Now we'll go on, and Andy, next time, cut down on the cussing, please.
Oh, that's just how I talk.
And the boozing, you lush.
Just don't. Okay.
Again,
Lush.
my name is Lou Giannuzzi.
Yeah.
I live in Michigan.
All right.
I work for my wife.
All right, see you guys.
All right. Hey, and thank you very much. This was podcast number 3. Next week, podcast number 4. We'll continue on this. And actually, you know what? We will tackle healthcare in depth, and we will continue with the economic portion of this.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Free Newman.
Free Newman, yes, absolutely. Get rid of Umar, Stalker, etc.
Free Newman. See it.
Bye. Have a good night.